You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the ABBO group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com.
Welcome to another Workshop Wednesday, brought to you where it's all about casual conversations for serious workflows, and it's brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where it allows you to keep learning QuickBooks.
Yeah.
That's right. However you want to learn. If you need some guided help, we're here for that. If you need some work on your own, we're here for that too. So anyway, hi Rachel, how are you?
Good. I'm glad to be back, and thanks Sharon for taking for taking my place last week. I appreciate that.
Yes, that was there's no filling your shoes, but because the heels are too high. But duty calls when duty calls, and that you got to take care of clients when they need taken care of. So appreciate Sharon filling in for Rachel during last week. But today we're going to be unpacking direct deposit reversals. So that's the question of the day, right? Have you ever had to reverse a direct deposit paycheck for an employee? When I was asking Rachel if she ever did it, she said, yeah, I do that in the merchant center. So wait a minute. That's not a direct deposit reversal.
I was thinking ACH payment, paying a bill, or receiving a payment on an invoice. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, which that's a really great topic for another session of doing refunds.
Yeah, and that's actually easy peasy. But I love QuickBooks payments. But no, I've never done this, and I don't have a ton of experience with QB payroll, except for now we've got some clients that are heavy users of it, and we're learning a lot about it. But I haven't really done a lot in QuickBooks Online Payroll. That's not anything.
I mean, in general, right? Most businesses, unless they're hobbyists that have their sole proprietors, are going to have some kind of payroll service associated with their business. And this situation does come up, in payroll, in general.
Yeah, right? Because sometimes somebody's made an error in payroll, and you need to reverse that direct deposit. But let me just ask you a quick question as well. In a lot of the other payroll systems that we use, you can also pay 1099 contractors, not just employees. Can you do that in QBO payroll as well?
Yes.
So it's not always an employee that you may have to do a reversal.
Yes, exactly. So when you are paying contractors through QuickBooks Online through the payroll service, and the reason that I hesitated to say yes is that when you're doing it when you're paying contractors through direct deposit through the payroll service, they are treated as an employee as far as billing is concerned. So whatever payroll service that you're on, Core, Premium, Elite, which incidentally are the membership levels of School of Bookkeeping.
Yep. And by the way, Elite, awesome, dedicated helper, amazing.
And that was the whole idea of us choosing the membership levels, because precious metals are so yesterday, right? Silver, gold, platinum. I'm running out of precious metals to call them, so we thought we'd just take a page from Intuit and use that name.
It's a little more elaborate than good, better, best. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
elite service that they do provide is very helpful. We've been
That's right.
utilizing their help desk a lot.
Awesome. And so when you subscribe to either one of those QuickBooks Online payroll services, core, premium, or elite, the per employee charge is based off of that subscription level. They've raised their prices so much I don't remember what they are, but off the top of my head. But when you have core, it's $6 or $6.50, I think, per employee.
Plus the monthly fee, and then it's an additional, and most services have it that way too. And that's not unique to
Exactly. However, when you're paying contractors through your payroll service, they're treated as an employee.
So you have to pay for that.
So if you're paying them,
were paying them outside of the payroll, then so that doesn't really make sense to do it that way.
Right. Now, so yes, you can pay your contractors through direct deposit through the payroll service, and you just be aware that whatever payroll service that you're using, you will be charged additionally for those contractors for direct deposit. Outside of the payroll service, if you're not using QuickBooks Online Payroll, you can sign up for contractor direct deposit, and those per contractor fees are much smaller, but you can't do both. You cannot do contractor direct deposit and QuickBooks Online Payroll, because essentially the direct deposit service is part of the payroll service. So you can't there is not a cake and eat it too when it comes to, if I have QuickBooks Online Payroll and I want to pay them direct deposit, well, you're going to pay the per employee cost, whatever that is, because of payroll service. So that make sure that you're doing your due diligence and don't just opt in to pay your contractors with direct deposit, because you may be paying more as a small business. And these days we're all about controlling our costs, right?
And it's sometimes frustrating, because as somebody that has employees and contractors, now I understand why some of my clients want to pay their contractors through payroll, because then they don't forget, what I mean? And so that's what, now I understand that pain. I'm like, I'd rather have them going through payroll, even though no payroll taxes are being deducted, because then they don't fall through the cracks.
Yeah. And that way, putting them all under one roof, it might be less mistakes, and maybe that's worth paying the extra cost.
$4 or whatever it is.
And with payroll service, you get 1099 e-filing included, and so there may be some other benefits of doing it that way, or doing it under the payroll service, that fine, I'll pay I'll pay the extra fee rather than trying to cut corners and save a few bucks. Maybe it causes some challenges that way. So one of the challenges is, oops, I paid the wrong person, or I set it to the wrong bank, or I've done something where the direct deposit has gone out, and after you click that button to submit, there's not a way, there's no, oops, I locked the keys in my car.
And that's where I actually have a question for you, because I used to be a payroll manager in a regular company, and
your prior life,
are always mistakes. Now, we are Gusto partners, so we usually, if we're running payroll for anybody, we're usually doing it through Gusto. But now in Gusto, you can cancel payroll if you've already said run payroll. You have a little bit of a grace time. What's the situation with QBO? Tell me, because I'm very interested.
Yeah.
Is there like a little thing even before you have to reverse a direct deposit paycheck?
Yeah. So they've actually made some changes, and that's what we're going to unpack, the changes. And
Okay.
I'm going to talk about the way things were, as if, because it was a painful process.
Yeah.
It was very painful when that occurred. And not bad mouthing into it, they were just following the rules of NACHA. And we'll talk about what NACHA is and why it was so painful.
I don't know NACHA.
It's the, NACHA, not nacho.
Nacho.
NACHA. It's the National Automated Clearinghouse Association.
Yep.
All right. So that's the organization that sets the rules for ACH money movement. And those rules have been in place for a long time, and they're very antiquated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we talked, I think Digits talked a little bit about it at Scaling New Heights a couple years ago, about how those rules are so antiquated, you can't get a whole lot of detail from 92 characters, which is, I don't know why they settled on a 92 character limitation. There's probably some technological reason of why that those character limits were set in place, but they probably don't exist anymore.
A lot of that, the clearinghouse rules and regulations were probably set before modern technology, because the clearinghouse has been a thing for a very long time.
It's one of those things, live in the now. There's better ways to do things, and things were getting, with fast money movement, like instant gratification when it comes to that. What was happening is that the ACH, the real world money movement, because ACH requires this, basically it's a telephone game between financial institutions when it comes to sending money. It's the money gets pulled or pushed depending on the perspective, and there's an intermediary bank between all of that. And so it's the intermediary bank says, I got it, and the receiving or the ending bank says, okay, and then it goes goes
Wouldn't
to the next.
you love to do that accounting?
Exactly. And then the recipient's bank it'll get sent, so that's now a push, and then it's a communication signal between the two banks. Did you get it? And then they'll say, yeah, I got it, and then it'll go back to the recipient's bank and then actually settle. And all of that takes time, even though it's all done instantaneously. But the signal back and forth between all three financial institutions, the source bank, the recipient's bank, and the bank actually doing the transfer.
Yeah.
All of that takes about 2 days on each side of the equation. A lot of things
unless
can
you're
happen.
going same bank to same bank. I learned that when I worked in private banking.
It's got to be, if it's the same financial institution,
faster.
you get the fast pass, the TSA pre-check
Yeah.
of ACH. So what was happening with like instant money movement is that middle bank, whoever is actually doing and initiating the money movement, is taking on the financial risk if any one of those banks has a problem.
Makes sense.
So here we have this situation where a direct deposit is initiated, and normally before all of this, I got to have my money now, or same day direct deposit, that sort of stuff. Before all of that, you had a cutoff time where, and typically that was 2 days before the actual paycheck date, where if you didn't do anything, if you crossed that lead off time, you couldn't do anything. The money, it was like you dropped a letter in the blue mailbox, right?
Yep, it was already in transit.
It was, even though, hey, the letter's in the box. If I could just talk.
Know this from being a payroll manager 15 years ago, and if payroll was processed and something needed to be reversed, you needed to wait for it to settle, and then good luck.
So before all of this, even though you could say, hey, I could just wait until the mailman comes and then they can give me the letter. You cannot, once it's gone past that threshold, there's no return, right? You have to wait until somebody receives it, and then you can initiate the process. So what was happening with this 2-day lead time adding to it, and I'm sure other payroll providers were doing the same thing. What was happening is they were doing the funding to the paycheck, the employee, excuse me. So they were doing the funding to the employee at the same time that they were pulling from the financial bank. So they eliminated this phone tree of, yeah, I got it. Did you get it? Yes. Okay. Everything that would take typically 4 or 5 business days for that dust to settle. Now they're doing it in 2 days. So now they've sped it up, but because they're doing it simultaneously, pulling from the employer's bank account and depositing into the employee's bank account, if there is a problem with that employee's bank account, or they sent it to the wrong employee, or they paid someone that has been terminated, these are scenarios that
those things happen frequently, I'm guessing.
Right. They happen long enough, or often enough for a process to be in place. Is they've realized, oh no, something is wrong, and they would contact Intuit to say, hey, I need to put a stop on that. You can't, right? It's in transit, right? Like, you cannot, it's in that blue mailbox where we cannot interfere with the postman at this point. We have to wait until the person gets it, and then there's a process, right? So because of all of those antiquated systems and the rules of the nature of the rules of the game, then it became quite an undertaking to reverse a direct deposit. The situation is they've sent the money, and they sent the money properly, but in the case of they need to get the money back, and the situation is maybe the person is not around or not cooperative or or anything along those lines, then that is where a direct deposit reversal comes into play. And again, because of those rules, there's a lot of burden of proof when it comes to that, and fees that occur when that happens. So it was never a great conversation when a customer called in to Intuit and say, hey, I need to initiate a direct deposit reversal, because the best option is work with that person.
And a lot of times that's not gonna happen.
Right.
And by the way, it's usually never the mistake of the recipient of the paycheck. It's usually the person keying in whatever, and it's usually an hourly employee. It's never not never, but it's less likely to be a salaried employee. But it's usually somebody that they've got hours and they have to have the hours keyed in and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times there's mistakes with that.
Right. The conversation typically went, well, you got to put in a request. There's a fee of $75. whether or not we collect it or not,
Ugh.
right? It's just the process of initiating a direct deposit reversal.
Yeah.
And that's typically where it boiled down to, hey, it's best to work with the recipient directly to get the money back.
Yeah.
And then reissue the paycheck, or in the case where they paid somebody that they shouldn't have, then it's just they need to get the money back.
Yep.
So when it's an hourly employee where they've worked part-time and they've terminated them, that's probably not a conversation that they want to have. And also the paycheck may not, the juice might not be worth the squeeze. So if they paid somebody $150 and they have to pay a fee of $75, whether they get the money back or not, then it's okay. Maybe we'll just call that a wash, and maybe we can request it back.
That does happen too, a lot. Too bad.
But in that regard, Intuit is just following the rules of NACHA at that point. And then I started hearing, well, hey, Gusto doesn't charge me for this. Or, hey, OnPay doesn't charge me for this. Or ADP doesn't charge me for this. Why is Intuit still charging me for this? They finally heard enough of those kinds of complaints or feedback. And as of November of 2024, this is how, how great this news traveled, because I just heard about it by reviewing.
Wow. So you just heard about it?
Yeah. Like I was reviewing the In the Know.
Then interesting.
Yeah. So this has actually been around for almost a year.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about it almost a year later.
So and that's you don't know about it, because you know everything about Intuit and their updates and stay on top of that. But if you don't, then that must have been a swept under the rug blip. They're probably like, let's not advertise this, people.
Yeah. They had it on the In the Know webinar, and they have it on their In the Know series. And that's how I discovered it. I was looking at historical things and like, what would make for a good topic? I'm like, oh my gosh, direct deposit reversals has a change. It was an honorable mention, in there.
To know like what the mechanics are that they're doing now.
Yeah.
That are they just? I guess what I'm saying is there a easier, streamlined way to do it?
Oh yeah.
And so that
absolutely
they don't have to charge.
So there is no fee anymore. You have to.
That they're just not gonna eat the fee. There's got to be like an internal, easier way to do it now.
Yeah. So I imagine that technology has caught up to this whole process, and it's made it easier for a provider like Intuit to actually do the reversal, or they're just bypassing this whole $75 fee type of thing, and they're eating that cost. I don't know. I don't know the back end of what's happening here, but let me get this thing out of the way here, because we want to be able to read all this stuff. I put the In the Know on a blog for us, so it talks about what's changed, when you should request a reversal. But really, the step by step is you can check the eligibility, and the eligibility has a lot of other prerequisites, right? So the original paycheck, it can't be rejected, right? So the situation where somebody fat fingered the account numbers, that it doesn't apply to a direct deposit reversal, because there's nothing to reverse.
Right. It wouldn't have gone through. Yeah.
It wouldn't have gone, into the bank account. If yes, the funds will be returned to the bank account automatically. No reversal needed. So you don't need to do that. And then confirm you're within the allowed window. So this is part of those NACHA rules, is that it has to be done timely, right? Like You cannot reverse a direct deposit from a month ago.
Yeah.
So that ship has sailed. Right? So it has to be the 3rd to the 5th business day after the pay date. So you have a very small window, to actually be eligible to do this. All right. And then you just initiate the reversal within QuickBooks. You go to the paycheck list in QuickBooks Online. You select the direct deposit you need to reverse, choose the reason, the duplicate, was the wrong amount, wrong account, so on and so forth. And you submit your request. And then you can do the process for multiple reversals at once if it's necessary. If you really screwed up your payroll run, you can submit that. And then, unfortunately, the last step is to wait.
Wait and monitor.
Right, because it can take 7 to 10 business days for that reversal to complete, because the process of the money coming back is that whole telephone chain of, all right, we're bringing the money back, we're pulling the money out. Did you get it? Yes, no, okay, then move to the next step. So that's why it takes longer. I always used to tell people it's refunds and reversals is like salmon swimming upstream. It's just exponentially harder to take money than it is to give money. Right? So if it doesn't come back in 7 to 10 business days, then you would have to, if it comes back, great. You just you void the paycheck in QuickBooks. If you use the contractor payments, you would be able to void that. If not, if the reversal fails, if you don't see the funds, then don't void the paycheck. Instead, you work directly with the employee or the contractor to recover the funds, and then void the check once you have the money back. So and another important caution, the burden of proof is on the business, not the employee. So the employee or contractor, they can dispute that reversal for up to 60 days after the reversal occurs. So that's why there's that fee. I think probably to dissuade people from trying to do this, because the burden of proof is not on the employee. The employee can just say, for whatever reason, "Oh yeah, that was my money." Right? What are you doing taking that back? And then they'll side on the employees or the contractor side and void the reversal. Right? But if you're unable to request a reversal within QuickBooks, you can still use the external reversal form, but that $75 fee still applies. All of that to say, there is a process and you avoid the fee, but there's a lot of buts when it comes to that.
There's a small window, and the employee could say no, and it's not a foolproof way to do it.
Yeah, there is no such thing as a foolproof process. But from the outsider looking in and saying there's all these instant ways of money movement, and Intuit is just making money on the float and all that stuff, that's not what they're trying to do here. They're just abiding by the rules that they are, like the PCI compliance stuff and then the NACHA rules. They really govern Intuit's decisions when it comes to real money movement, more so than, hey, how do I make a buck off of,
and
off of this?
The longer way to do it, it makes perfect sense to me. And it's the least risky way to do it. When you're fronting checks, the same time that you're collecting the funds, as manager or CEO or something, that makes me nervous. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, and that's why now you can understand that when you, for Bill.com or anything QuickBooks wise, Melio, when they say, would you like it instantaneously for a small fee of 1%?
Yeah.
Because they are now definitely taking on that risk.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
That's why they charge these things, is because they want to recoup their losses, or not necessarily need to recoup their losses if there is a problem on the receiving side. Of the funds.
I mean, and really understanding the ins and outs of that kind of thing. It for me, it makes perfect sense. Like, I know a lot of people like to say it's just a greedy corporation, but you really have to understand the mechanics of what's happening.
Yes, and as we'll talk about when we get into some of the new payroll updates, there are ways to I completely forgot my chain of thought, but
payroll updates.
There is something new coming that I saw some emails floating around and some posts where you're not going to be able to opt out of filing and paying taxes.
Oh, right, because now you can. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Wait, you didn't mention before we have to initiate a reversal. Is there a way to cancel payroll? Do you have that ability, or once you've submitted payroll, that's it?
As long as it hasn't gone to the point of initiating the transfer.
Oh, okay.
So Elite Payroll, they do their money movement on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've created the paychecks on Monday for a paycheck date on Friday, you have essentially up until Friday morning, Friday a.m., very early, wee hours of the morning, whatever time that is, 2 a.m. Pacific time or Eastern time, or whatever that boils down to, until the time when they actually start the money movement process. You can do whatever you want to the paychecks. You can cancel them, void them, do whatever you want, as long as that money movement hasn't occurred.
Okay.
Once that initiation has taken place, which Elite and Core is typically a 1 day or 2 day, right? So that will be like the Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time is your cutoff time to actually do something for the paychecks before the money movement has actually occurred.
And do you know if it says that in the payroll module? Will it say you have until X time to cancel this payroll? Because it does in Gusto. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it actually lists that as an alert, but if you try to do something and it's crossed that threshold, it'll tell you why.
Okay.
You can't.
Because I have some clients that cancel their payroll all the time. I'm like, what are you doing, people?
Playing with your employees' money.
What? You made a mistake again? Anyway.
That's the importance of making sure that everything is in alignment with the paycheck before you actually submit it.
Yeah, I know. There's just always changes with payroll. It's just why it's my least favorite thing.
Right.
And it always will be.
And pray that there's no payroll delay in that direct deposit funding movement, which has occurred. All right. Next week we have a live replay being scheduled. Rachel and I are going to be in Las Vegas doing the Intuit Connect thing. And so we're just going to have a replay of one of our more popular workshops. So those of you that are not going to Intuit Connect and you still want to be participating in the workshop, we do have a live replay. It will appear as if we're live, but it's actually a recording replay. You can still chat and do things with us, comments and those types of things. So it will be as if we're there, but we're not.
Yeah, and we will be getting the most cutting edge updates from hopefully the CEO of Intuit.
Look forward to that. And then we'll start our series with Shauna on the workshops series where we'll be going through the job costing fundamentals.
Yes.
will be all of November and December, right up until Christmas. So look forward to that, and we'll see you next time on the Workshop Wednesday, and I hope you all have a great day, and Halloween coming, be spooky and all that stuff, and we'll see you next time on the Workshop Wednesday. Bye now.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and took away some valuable tips and strategies to enhance your bookkeeping practice. Remember, if you want to stay ahead in the world of bookkeeping and accounting, be sure to visit Schoolofbookkeeping.com. With a wide range of courses, resources, and expert guidance, you'll find everything you need to sharpen your skills and boost your career. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and continue to bring you the best content every week. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, reach out to us on social media or send us an email at support@schoolofbookkeeping.com. We love hearing from our listeners and are always looking for new ideas to explore. Thanks for tuning in to Workshop Wednesday. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep excelling in your bookkeeping journey. I'm Dan DeLong, and we'll see you next week.